Welcome back, folks. My name is LastKnownMeal, and today we're going to be talking about Cyberpunk 2077. Especially, I'm going to be expanding on my thoughts when it comes to CD Projekt Red, basically saying that Cyberpunk is only going to have one expansion and that's about it. And even though there was a lot of people who think that maybe they didn't say that right, I'm going to play this audio section one more time so you can kind of see what I'm talking about.
And game engine. This is the question I can precisely answer. Cyberpunk expansion is the last product based on Red Engine. Any further product will be on Unreal. So starting from, next Witcher is on Unreal and.
So when someone from the company actually says product, they actually mean for that expansion, because Cyberpunk is a product. Next Gen Edition of The Witcher 3 is also a product. Same with the first expansion for Cyberpunk 2077 and the only expansion. I need to stop saying first expansion. What this means is that they said last product in Red Engine, and because Cyberpunk 2077 is not going to be going to Unreal Engine 5, keep in mind Cyberpunk 2077, I'm sure that CDPR is not done with Cyberpunk as a franchise, so who knows in the future what sort of versions we might get, like for example the sequel to this, or well, the second game set in the Cyberpunk world, but that is not going to happen anytime soon. So this obviously means a few things. I'm going to be going from the actual angle of, developers and CDPR, but also I'm going to be going from the angle that people have, because, on my previous video there was a lot of different opinions and people were generally disappointed with, this decision. And of course, it's understandable and that's okay, because I'm also kind of disappointed that we're only getting one expansion for this. But let me talk about it. So first off, if we go to the side of Cyberpunk and CDPR, this was a very rough project in terms that obviously the Red Engine was causing issues, and therefore where you go through actual development cycles, you could see that there were problems, especially going from the expansion as well, because we do know that the expansion was delayed into 2023, which does tell us that, yeah, there are problems with Red Engine, and it seems that by doing this and saying that this is the last project in Red Engine, they want to move from this engine as fast as possible. Now, the downside to this is because you don't want to spend another 2-3 years trying to optimize the engine for the second expansion to work. You're going to get rid of it. And of course, in the eyes of people, this looks like, hey, you have abandoned the project. You have said that this Cyberpunk is going to receive support, maybe even more support than The Witcher 3. When you say all of those things, and I'm specifically talking about the management in this case, or well, the people on top, is when you make those promises, and when you say that, and when you say like, oh, one expansion, people will come to those conclusions. So of course, I do know about the leak, but I'm not going to cover that because that's a speedrun to closing doors to CDPR and burning all bridges. But I'm sure that people who want to know more about that can go and look for it. I don't endorse it, but I cannot stop you, from what you're doing, obviously. And now you basically backed yourselves up in the corner. So because you cannot make more expansions due to Red Engine, you have to make that decision. Now, again, I understand their position in this because, yeah, development cycles could have been hell again if they stayed on Red Engine itself. And this does mean that they will be working more in Unreal Engine 5, hence meaning, the next Witcher game, which eventually comes out. They just finished the research phase, or the pre-production research phase, but now they're moving into pre-production itself. So it's still very early to, talk about anything regarding that. But when the first marketing for this expansion starts, obviously we're going to see how this whole thing is going to develop and how people are going to react to it overall, because now that you're doing one expansion, you're kind of raising the limit, because I've read the comments, this better be a big expansion or a, great expansion. And honestly, I hope it does happen to be that way, because I do want to see a proper send-off into this and a proper end to basically Cyberpunk 2077, because they will be ending it. Another problem I had, again, is that through this entire time, people were guessing. I was guessing if it's only going to be one or more expansions. They keep writing expansion, and of course, when you see that, you're like, okay, is this going to be only one expansion? And we finally have this confirmation now, but it kind of came... It almost feels like they didn't want to say it in that sense, but honestly, they should have. because it came out on Q&A during the end and kind of wasn't even saying like, oh yeah, we're not doing more expansions, but no more products, signaling obviously that. So I wish they were more open with that and saying, look, we only have one expansion, that's about it. Now, obviously, we are going to have patches and updates probably after that, but once that expansion is out, you're gonna have patches and hotfixes for, expansion, and then obviously some of the things for the base game, and that's about it. Because, as they said, they want to move as fast as they can from this engine, which obviously means no more updates. Same when it comes to the general updates this year. So it seems that this year we're only getting 1.6. We'll see what's going to be happening in that update. How big is it going to be? What is it going to have? Honestly, another thing, if it comes down to this, maybe, if they have time, which is something that was discussed before but never promised fully, is the modding tools. I think that providing modding tools now, if you're actually going to, abandon it ultimately once the engine expansion is done, maybe provide modding support for people to create mods, because the foundation of Cyberpunk 2077 is amazing. The city itself, like, it allows so much to be built upon, but obviously when you don't have good modding tools, you're not going to have either big mods, or you're not going to have many people jumping into it just due to those complications of having to go through different ways of modding than rather through the official tool. So I hope that happens. Again, I doubt, maybe, who knows, but it would be a proper way of ending that if you're going to be going in that sense, and people have been asking for it, and I said long time ago, Cyberpunk needs to embrace mods. Simple as that. Of course, making modding tools is not easy, that requires time as well, but if they have time, that would maybe soften the blow for some people, but at the same time, that's only for PC. So all in all, it's kind of sad to see it end that way in that term when it comes to that support, but we'll see what happens next. Again, I hope they're more open about this, because when you have these sort of answers, you cannot really control the narrative, so right now you just create another problem. So obviously, don't go and harass developers. They have nothing to do with it. Don't harass anyone, please. And this also made me think, because they said last product in Red Engine for the expansion, this might also mean that the Molasses Flood is working on either Unreal Engine 4 or Unreal Engine 5. They're not going to be touching Red Engine. Why? Their previous two titles also were done in Unreal Engine 4. So they can switch to 5. It's a lot, well, it's easier, and also it's the similar, basically the engine environment, so they can do that. So I think that's also going to be coming out in Unreal. When is it coming out? Maybe 2023, who knows? But generally, I don't consider it to be a huge game, and because of the, size of the team, it might be some co-op survival thing, set either in The Witcher or Cyberpunk, because they haven't specified. But people have been saying that they might be working on a huge Cyberpunk multiplayer. No, that's not happening. The team is too small to be handling a project of that size. Either something co-op or a very small multiplayer, but nothing to the extent people actually expect from this. So that's pretty much my opinion when it comes to this. Yeah, I'm disappointed, but we'll hoping for a good expansion at the end of the day, but we'll see what's gonna be happening. Obviously, I'm gonna be covering that as news come on, and in this year we are going to learn more about the expansion because the marketing campaign is going to start. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, everyone. Relax a little bit, and things will turn out eventually good. But yeah, thank you again so much for watching. Don't forget to tell me down below what do you think about all of this, and please keep it civil in the comments, please. And also visit us on Twitter and Discord, and huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye bye.